Hi there, my name is Mike, and today I'll be talking about CSS transitions. CSS transitions can be used to add a little bit of animation to different changes and effects. So if you have a div that is just regular, and then when you hover over it, something changes, you can actually animate that change. So I'll show you how to do that in this video. So to start, I've got this HTML file that is linked to the CSS file. In this HTML file, I've got an empty div with the class of main, and this is what we'll be working with. So in CSS, I'm going to do .main just to access it. And we'll give this a set width and height so we can give it a background color. This will make it easier so you can see the animation. We'll go with red, the classic red square. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is when we hover over this, so we'll do the pseudo class hover. Let's say we'll rotate it 180 degrees and give it more height. So we'll double the height. And we'll do transform, rotate, we'll just do 180 degrees. Okay, there we go. So you can see that immediately, you can't really tell it's rotating because it's 180 degrees. If we had this like 270 degrees, that would be a little more obvious because it goes sideways like that. So we'll just do that for the purpose of this video. But yeah, right now there's no animation. It just awkwardly kind of blips, but we can animate it with this transition property. So there are actually 4 transition properties. There's transition property, which you say which property it is. You can do all, and this will just automatically animate them all. If we do all, and then have transition duration be like 2 seconds, then you can see that everything is animating as it changes automatically. But you can also just list it. So if we only wanted the height to be animated, you can see that now only the height is animating, but it's kind of awkwardly scaling up and down because this transformation is happening immediately. So you can see that the transformation isn't animated, and then when we take it away, it immediately snaps back. So with this setup, it's a little awkward to have multiple. So what we'll do instead is we'll just use this transition. And the way that we do this is we give it a height, and then up next we put in the duration. Then we can do comma, and then we can do the next one. So transform, and then we'll do 2 seconds for this as well. And so now you can see that they're both animating. You could also do this by just having a comma here. Let's say transform, if you so please. You could argue that this is a little more organized, but it gets kind of awkward when you have a ton of them versus just having this, this nice list here with just regular transition property. So I prefer this personally, but you're free to use either one, of course. Okay, so up next, there's also a transition timing function. And the way this works, you can see some of our options here. But essentially what this is, if you saw my CSS animations video, is how the timing of the animation is scaled. So typically it's got this kind of ease out thing where it comes in really fast and then it slowly reaches the destination. But we can also have it be linear, which just looks like this. Oh, whoops, that didn't apply. Got to do that after. There we go. You can see that this is linear. There's no like speed to it. It just is done. It snaps into place. And then it's just kind of loading linearly. We can also do ease, which I believe is the default, where it eases in and eases out. You can just do ease in, where it eases in and then it goes fast, and then it eases in and then it goes fast. Or you can just do ease out. You have a lot of options here. You can also define your own Bezier curve, which is a little bit outside the scope of this video, but I'll put a link in if you're interested. You can see that there's some built-in ones into VS Code. And so that's some crazy like thing where it goes past. There's a lot of different things you can do with this and get pretty advanced. But for the purpose of this video, we'll just go with linear. And then lastly, you can actually add a delay with transition delay. And so if we want it to wait 1 second, you can see it's not going. And then after a second, it decides to go. And then I move my mouse and then it waits a second again. And lastly, actually, if you want these different if you don't want to use these properties and you want it all to be built into the transition function, you can actually add these in just before the comma. It goes transition property, transition duration, timing function, and then delay. So you can actually just put linear here after 2 seconds. And so the height will be linear, but then the transform won't be. So you'll see that that eases in, but then the height is just linearly changing. We can have it be both, of course, if we'd like. Now they're both linear. And then lastly, if we wanted to add a delay in here, we can do that by just adding in an after. You can see that the height is not changing, but the rotation automatically goes. So it's kind of like this offset effect, which can be useful. But most of the time, I like to have them both synced up. So yeah, those 4 things are pretty much all you need to know to get started with the transition property. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, a comment, or a subscribe, and have a great day. Thanks for watching.